Okay, 2B.2 segment midpoints. So here we're going to be finding the midpoint of a segment. If we think about a segment's like a cutoff line. So if we were to graph it here, let's put its points at like 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. And you know what? Maybe we'll do like -1, 0. So here'd be the other point. Okay. So we have a segment that goes between them, and it stops at those dots. What we want to do is we want to find the midpoint. We want to find the exact middle of that line. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to take the x, we're going to find what is right in the middle of the x's, okay? And then we're going to look at our y's, and we're going to find the middle of the y's. So to find the middle of them, we could use a different word, and we could say we're going to find the average. We're going to find the mean. So to find our midpoint, I'm going to take my x's and I'm going to add them up and divide by 2. So 3 minus 1 over 2, right? 3 plus -1 is 3 minus 1. That gives me 2 over 2, which is 1, right? That's my x value. And then I do the same thing for my y. I say, well, 4 plus 0 over 2 is 4 over 2, which is 2. So here, this is my x, this is my y. So I have a midpoint at 1, 2. If I were to plot that, I'd be at 1, 2, it'd be right around there. And that does look like it's the middle point. So I know we can do it that way, we can think about it that way, but I want to give us a formula. We have a midpoint formula. Where do I want to write that? I'll write that over here. We have midpoint. So say we have 2 points, x1, y1, and then x2, y2. You know what? Let me write this a little bit different. We'll put the midpoint down there. If we have those 2 points, then the midpoint is at x1 plus x2 over 2, right? That's just the average. And then we have y1 plus y2 over 2, right? All we're doing is we're finding the average of both points, or of both coordinates, rather, the x coordinates together and the y coordinates together. So let's look at that. Number 2, we're supposed to find the midpoint of the line segment with the given endpoints. So we don't really need to graph, we just need to use our formula. We're going to find the average. So here's my x's, here's my y's. I'm going to add them up and divide by 2. So for the x's, I'm going to say, well, 3 plus 3 over 2. Well, that's 6 over 2, which is 3. That's my x. For y, I'll take -9 plus -5 over 2. Well, that's going to be, is that -14 over 2, which will be -7. That's my y. So I have the point 3, -7. Okay. Hopefully that's pretty easy for us to grasp. Let's look at number 2, or number 3 rather. So my x, my y, my x, and my y. So I'm going to take my x's and add them up and divide by 2. So 5 plus 6 over 2. That's going to be 11 over 2, which is 5.5. This is my x. For my y, it's going to be 6 plus -1 over 2, which is 5 over 2, which is 2.5. So my final answer, my point, is going to be 5.5, 2.5. That's my midpoint. That's the middle of those 2 points. All right, let's look at number 4. If I start off with my x's, my x is at -3 plus 5 over 2. Whenever I add those up, I get 2 over 2, which is 1. For For my y's, I'll have, well, 6 plus 7 over 2. Well, whenever I look at that, I know that I'm finding the average, right? I'm finding the middle of 6 and 7. I know what's right between 6 and 7 is 6.5. So sometimes I skip the calculator work and I just can think about it and rationalize it in my head. So from there we can write our point at 1, 6.5. All right, that's our answer. I'll circle that. Let's go on to number 5. For our x's, we're going to have 1 plus 3 over 2, which is 4 over 2, which is 2. For our y's, I'm going to have negative 7 plus 10 over 2, which is 3 over 2, which is 1.5. So my final answer will be 2, 1.5. All right, number 6, 2 more problems. Here's our x's, so negative 5 plus 8 over 2. 8 minus 5 is going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 3. So this is 3 over 2, which is 1.5. This is my x. And then for my y, I'll have negative 5 plus negative 6 over 2, which will be negative 11 over 2, which is negative 5.5. That's my y. So I have the point 1.5, negative 5.5. Lastly, number 7. My x's, so I'm going to have 5 minus 3, right? 5 plus negative 3 over 2, which is going to be 2 over 2, which is 1. That's my x. And then for my y's, I'm going to have 6 plus 3 over 2, 9 over 2, which is 4.5. That's my y. So lastly, I can write my answer as 1, 4.5. Okay, I hope this one's a little bit easier than the first section. I sure think it is. Make sure you know that midpoint formula. We're going to have more formulas that are similar to this. Make sure you have that written down somewhere. All right, bye-bye.